Hey guys, tonight we slip softly into the misty twilight of a tropical evening, somewhere between the chirp of geckos and the last flicker of temple candlelight. The air is thick with the smell of rice paddies and distant wood smoke. You're barefoot. Of course you are, and the packed dirt under your toes is still warm from the day. Someone nearby is humming a lullaby you don't understand, but that's okay, because tonight we're not here for battles or emperors or political intrigue. Nope, tonight we're here for snacks. Specifically, the bedtime snacks of the Khmer Empire. That's right. Ancient Cambodia, land of temple towers, rain-drenched jungles, and, apparently, a whole smorgasbord of sleepy time treats. You probably won't survive this. Not because it's dangerous, but because somewhere around section 8 you're going to be so blissfully drowsy that your consciousness will float off like a sugar palm leaf on a lazy stream. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You squat by a low fire, watching a woman deftly twisting around bundles of sticky rice tucked in banana leaves. Each parcel is no bigger than your palm, soft and warm and a little squishy. She stacks them carefully in a clay steamer, each one steaming gently under the rising scent of sweet rice and coconut milk. This is Ansem Chek, sticky rice cakes, studded with banana, sometimes mung beans, and always steamed with patience and a practiced hand. They're a Khmer favorite, and though these days they pop up at New Year and weddings back then, they were also eaten in quieter moments, after the last chore, but before the first yawn. You get handed one, still wrapped, still warm. The leaf crinkles slightly as you peel it back. It smells faintly smoky, subtly sweet, and just a little like the earth itself. It's chewy, comforting, a little messy, like a bedtime granola bar made by a tropical grandmother with infinite love and zero packaging. Sticky rice wasn't just a snack. It was a way of life. In the Khmer Empire, rice wasn't simply grown and harvested. It was honored, ritualized, whispered to. It grew in seasonally flooded fields, which meant the rhythm of Khmer days and nights was bound to the water. After the harvest came soaking, pounding, washing, and steaming. Each step took time. And the final product? Comfort food so old it probably lulled royalty and farmers alike into dreams under thatched eaves and temple shadows. And yet, historians still argue whether Ansem in its modern form is identical to what would have been eaten during Jayavarman's time, or whether what you're eating now is some kind of culinary telephone game with a 1,000-year-old start. Does it matter? Probably not to your taste buds, which are currently singing a gentle lullaby of coconut and calm. Oh, and here's a fun little tidbit. Sticky rice, once packed into leaf tubes, was apparently used as travel snacks, like ancient Southeast Asian protein bars, except instead of whey and chia seeds, they had mung beans and hope. Soldiers and pilgrims alike tucked them into cloth satchels, sometimes with a bit of dried fish or pickled radish on the side. So, yes, your sleepy snack has battlefield cred. And about those banana leaves, not just biodegradable Tupperware, but subtly aromatic, antimicrobial, and available literally everywhere. You don't refrigerate a rice cake. You wrap it in a leaf and trust it to behave overnight. And honestly, it usually did. No mold, no leaks, just a tiny green packet of carbohydrate joy, waiting for you like a warm hug from the past. As the night deepens, the hum of frogs and far-off drums grows louder. The fire flickers. The rice cakes disappear slowly, methodically, one quiet bite at a time. Children drift off with half-finished sweets still in their hands, and elders sip warm rice water, watching the stars blink on through banana fronds. And you stretch your legs out, lean back against a woven mat, and feel the soft weight of full belly and full heart settle into your bones. Because somehow, knowing that the Khmer people, busy building stone mountains like Angkor, still made time to snack before bed, that feels right. That feels deeply human. Someone passes you a little clay cup. It's warm, but not too warm, and it smells faintly like toasted rice, like something subtle and nutty just on the edge of sweetness. You take a sip. It's rice porridge, smooth and simple, somewhere between soup and tea. The kind of thing you could slurp half asleep. It's called borber, and here in the heart of the Khmer Empire, it's not just breakfast. It's an all-day, all-night, any mood kind of dish. Thick or thin, salty or sweet, depending on what you throw in. Right now it's sweet. Maybe there's a bit of palm sugar dissolved into the bottom. Maybe not. It's hard to tell when your eyes are half closed and your breathing slows. But here's the real magic. Borber is just rice and water, yet somehow it manages to feel like a warm blanket poured into a bowl. Back then, it was often eaten with pickled things, like fermented vegetables or tiny dried shrimp. For nighttime, though, they went lighter. Maybe a spoonful of coconut cream swirled in, a few roasted sesame seeds tossed lazily on top. You're not here to party. You're here to coast gently toward unconsciousness. And this sleepy porridge is the express train. Here's a mainstream historical fact to crunch on while you chew nothing at all. The Khmer Empire's food culture wasn't isolated. It absorbed influences from China, India, and nearby Southeast Asian neighbors. The porridge you're sipping likely has ancient Chinese ancestry, though local flavors, like smoky roasted rice, made it uniquely Khmer. And if you ever wonder how something as soft and bland as porridge could survive thousands of years of culinary evolution, just try eating it with a pounding headache or a broken heart. It's medicinal. It's spiritual. It's basically edible patience. Now, while your brain starts converting this carb load into REM fuel, consider this. In some remote regions, porridge was used in ceremonies, not for eating, but for offering to ancestors, to spirits, even to the rice goddess herself. Imagine that you're sitting there, politely ignoring the fact that a mosquito is nibbling your ankle, and someone pours out a bowl of porridge, not to you, but to a tree spirit who may or may not be judging your posture. And if you're wondering what other bedtime drinks floated around Khmer society, we can take a sleepy little detour into herbal infusions. Lemongrass tea, boiled with galangal and pandan leaves, was common. Not exactly chamomile, but it did the trick. Imagine the air scented like citrus and earth, with a warm cup balance in your hand while crickets chirp like living white noise. Yeah, we're there now. Historians still argue whether these teas were primarily medicinal or ritualistic. Were they brewed for sleep, for spiritual cleansing, or just because water was boring? The evidence is scattered, the records vague, and frankly, the historians are still low-key bickering about what medicinal even meant in a 12th century Cambodian context. You, however, don't really care. You're sipping. You're sinking. You're sliding gently into one of the quietest food comas in recorded history. And just when you think your stomach is perfectly, utterly done, a quiet hand offers you one last bite. A sticky little square of coconut jelly. One. It's translucent, jiggly, and slightly cool, like someone figured out how to turn moonlight into a snack. Made from agar, coconut milk, and sugar, it's the Khmer version of just one more taste. You let it melt on your tongue, and it disappears like a secret. There's a fringe belief, completely unconfirmed, that the texture of jelly-based sweets was considered symbolic of flexibility and grace. Like if your dessert could wobble without breaking, so could your soul. Is that true? Probably not. But try saying it doesn't feel right. And you start to notice that nighttime in the Khmer world isn't silence. It's a lullaby of natural sound. Croaking frogs, rustling palms, maybe the rhythmic slap of someone washing clothes downstream. The kind of ambience you'd pay for on a white noise app. But back then it was just life. Unfiltered, uncompressed, and slightly humid. There's comfort in knowing that these snacks weren't made in labs or shrink-wrapped in neon plastic. They were grown, gathered, and simmered with the kind of care that only happens when no one is in a rush. Food meant for bodies that rose with the sun and slept with the stars. Snacks built not just to nourish, but to slow you down, soften your edges, and nudge you gently toward the pillow. So, yeah, your porridge is half gone. The jelly is a memory. The tea has gone from hot to lukewarm. And your eyelids, well, let's just say they're heavier than a full rice basket after harvest. The last jelly square trembles slightly on the woven tray, forgotten in a half-doze of full bellies and flickering firelight. Somewhere, a dog yawns. You're lying back now, cheek against a rolled-up scarf, the edges of your dreams starting to curl like wood smoke. But you're not asleep yet. No, because someone else just showed up, and they're carrying grilled things. Don't panic. These are bedtime snacks, too. The Khmer palate, even in the quietest hour, wasn't afraid of a little char and a whisper of salt. You sit up slowly as a woven basket is opened to reveal skewers. Thin sticks, brown and glistening, with bite-sized chunks of meat, maybe frog legs or tiny river fish still curled from the heat. These were the night foods of anchors, laborers, and temple guards. Not elaborate feasts, just humble protein, grilled over an open fire, seasoned with lemongrass and galangal, sometimes dipped in fermented fish paste. The kind of snack you could nibble in 3 bites while still holding a spear or squatting in the moonlight. It's believed that fish, especially tiny dried or grilled ones, played a bigger role in nighttime eating than we realize. Most Khmer settlements orbited rivers or reservoirs, and fish were the quiet currency of daily life. Eaten dried, fresh, pickled, or fermented into prahak, a pungent paste still popular today. They made their way into every meal, including bedtime nibbles. And yet historians still argue whether nighttime grilling was common practice or an occasional indulgence. After all, firelight in the darkness meant exposure. Your glowing campfire could be spotted for miles, and not everyone who noticed would be bringing snacks. Some scholars suggest these late-night roasts were reserved for festival eves or communal gatherings. Others argue they were practical. Heat left over from cooking rice was simply reused. Regardless, the aroma is incredible. Smoky, savory, a little sweet. You take a bite of something grilled. Maybe it's chicken, maybe not. The seasoning hits first. Crushed garlic, maybe palm sugar, a hint of char. It's the Khmer version of barbecue, but not a loud, beer-drenched backyard fare. This is more like a whispered flavor, a sleepier spice. Fun fact, some of these grilled proteins were wrapped in aromatic leaves, wild pepper, banana, or lemongrass fronds, before being roasted. Not for garnish, but for practicality. The leaves help preserve moisture and, bonus, added complex notes of whatever jungle they came from. It's like nature's seasoning packet, but biodegradable. You reach for another skewer. The stars above you glitter like rice grains spilled across velvet, and the fire pops softly. Someone nearby hums again, maybe the same lullaby, maybe a different one. You're not sure anymore, and it doesn't matter. And then, something cool. A little clay dish of pickled mango slices. Bright yellow, sliced thin, tart with a kick of chili and salt. This isn't dessert. This is contrast. The sour to your sweet. The electric tingle that somehow makes you sleepier, not more awake. Khmer cuisine, even in its sleepiest moments, doesn't shy away from balance. You suck the juice from a mango slice and feel your mouth wake up just a bit, only to sink again, deeper, now that your senses are satisfied. Pickled snacks like these were often made days or weeks in advance, tucked into glazed jars and left in the shade to mellow. They lasted through the rainy season, through drought, and yes, through long, dreamy nights like this one. A quirky fringe tidbit for your half-conscious brain. Certain temples actually had designated spaces for fermenting food. Not just rice and pickles, but full-on preserved feasts. Archaeologists have found remnants of fermentation pits near ancient kitchens, suggesting that monks and priests weren't above a midnight snack either. Enlightenment, after all, is hungry work. You lean back, belly full, mouth tingling. A breeze moves through the trees like a sigh. It smells of night-blooming jasmine and charcoal. You imagine all the people across the Khmer Empire. Fishermen by the tunnel sap, priests in Angkor Thom, children in floating villages, each reaching for their own nighttime bite, their own version of grilled calm. And all around them, the world spun on in its muddy, humid, fragrant way. The canals carried water. The temples carried prayers. The kitchens carried fire, and that fire, tonight at least, cooked you the sleepiest little kebab in all of history. So now go ahead, rest your hand on your stomach. Let your lips stay parted just a bit. There's nothing more to chew, nothing more to taste. Only the slow fade of flavor and thought blending together in the dark. You're flat on your back now, staring up into a night sky that's been rinsed clean by centuries. The stars here don't twinkle, they hum. The crickets are still doing their tiny percussion concert, and someone nearby is softly chewing on something crunchy. No one's ever in a rush to sleep in the Khmer Empire. You're supposed to wander into it, snack in hand, dream half prepared. The next bite arrives not on a plate, but in a leaf, folded neatly banana leaf style, with something warm and soft inside. It's a dessert now. Sweet, comforting, the kind of thing you unwrap like a tiny edible pillow. You peel the leaf back and reveal number ansam, a sticky rice cake filled with banana, maybe jackfruit, maybe even mung beans, depending on the night and who did the wrapping. You take a bite. The texture is dense, chewy, a little oily in the best possible way. The banana has turned creamy from being steamed, and the rice has that glorious, barely sweet quality that reminds you of childhood. Or at least of what childhood might have felt like if it had been set to the soundtrack of frogs and wind chimes. Number ansam wasn't just for bedtime, of course. It was a ceremonial dish, too, offered at festivals, weddings, and ancestor days. But leftovers? Oh yes, they made perfect midnight snacks. Easy to carry, easy to share, easy to love. And if someone left one near your mat while you were dozing off, you were expected to eat it in your sleep. Or at least that's what someone's grandmother probably said once. Historians still argue whether certain fillings in number ansam had symbolic meaning. Was banana for fertility? Mung bean for wisdom? Or did people just use what was ripe that week? The debate rolls on, like sticky rice that never quite comes off your fingers. Meanwhile, a plate is passed to you with something oddly elegant. Thin slices of lotus root, candied until they glisten. The kind of snack that makes you feel slightly royal, even if you're in your third day of the same linen tunic. The lotus is crunchy, but not sharp, sweet, but not cloying, and infused with something floral, maybe rose water or just good, clean river air. A little-known fact, lotus root was sometimes carved into delicate shapes for royal feasts. Not because it tasted different, but because a symmetrical lotus slice is weirdly satisfying to look at. Khmer chefs, especially those who cook for court, weren't just feeding people. They were feeding eyes, too. You close yours for a second, and when you open them, the fire has burned lower. The moon is high now, and the warmth of the snacks still lingers in your chest. You're not full. You're not hungry. You're something better, balanced. And just when you think the food parade has finally stopped, someone hands you a strange little fruit. It's round, about the size of a lime, but pale yellow with a tough outer rind. A sleeping fruit, a quiet fruit. It's a langsat, and once you peel open, carefully with a little twist, it reveals tender, translucent segments like citrus dreaming of jellyfish. You pop one in your mouth. It's tangy sweet, with a whisper of bitterness at the end. Not enough to shock, just enough to say, hey, you're still awake, remember? Langsat trees grow easily in this climate, and their fruit was a staple snack in the empire's quieter corners. Farmers, monks, even children climbing temple steps would pause and suck on a langsat or two. Sometimes, the rind was burned as a natural mosquito repellent. So not only was this fruit delicious, it was also your 12th century bug spray. Convenient, right? There's an odd theory, not widely accepted, but fun to imagine, that langsat was considered a dreaming fruit. Some say monks ate it before meditation to reach a cooler mental state. There's no proof, but your brain is cooling anyway. Or maybe that's just the night air pressing against your temples. Around you, the forest whispers. Leaves shift gently. You hear someone yawn, a deep, unhurried sound that you immediately borrow. Then another bite. This time it's something fried. Yes, even sleepy civilizations need a bit of crunch. Number crouch. Fried dough balls filled with sweetened mung bean paste, warm and golden and just barely crispy on the outside. Think of them as donut holes that studied abroad. You nibble slowly, savoring the texture. The inside is creamy and mild, the outer layer flaking slightly. You lick a bit of sugar from your lip. Just one more bite. You wonder briefly how many different ways these people could combine rice, beans, sugar, and coconut. Turns out, hundreds, thousands, possibly infinite. Khmer cuisine was all about technique: grinding, steaming, roasting, fermenting, wrapping, slicing. And when the sun went down, all that effort didn't stop. It just got quieter, sleepier, cozier. You nestle back into your scarf, the last dough ball resting peacefully in your palm. Someone chuckles nearby. A child, maybe, chasing fireflies that seem way too bright for such a lazy evening. You smile. You're not quite in the 12th century, but you're not in the 21st anymore either. You're somewhere between worlds, between snacks, between waking and dreaming, just like the langsat, peeled open, waiting to be tasted, or forgotten. You blink once, slowly, and suddenly the fire has changed shape. It's smaller now, but steadier, like it's agreed to watch over you while you doze. Someone's humming, not singing, exactly, just that tuneless, contented kind of hum that people do when they're surrounded by food and quiet, and no one is asking them to be interesting. You sit up, well, sort of. It's more of a slow roll into an upright position, as though gravity itself knows you're not here to hustle. In front of you, someone's fanning a small clay grill. The scent drifting off it is unmistakable. Grilled banana wrapped in palm leaves. Chekong, a dessert you didn't know you needed. The bananas used for this aren't the soft, sugary ones you're probably used to. These are firmer, more starchy, almost plant adjacent. They're grilled until their sugars caramelize just enough to make them blush. The leaves char a little at the edges, creating that perfect balance between burnt and beautiful. You pull a leaf open. Steam escapes in a sigh. The first bite is a surprise. It's warm, smoky, and just the right amount of sweet. The banana is soft but not mushy. Its natural sugars made slightly savory by the fire. Khmer cooks knew how to make the simplest ingredients taste like a bedtime story, especially when fire and leaf were involved. Here's something niche but wonderful. In some villages, Chekong was eaten with a sprinkling of roasted sesame seeds and a drizzle of coconut cream. Not a lot, just enough to make you raise your eyebrows and say, "Oh, this is fancy now." And even though you're already slipping into sleep mode, your taste buds are wide awake. You want 10 more. You'll settle for 2. Historians still argue whether grilled fruits like this were part of royal diets or strictly street fare. There's this lingering mystery around how the elite dined versus how the everyday person snacked. Were kings sneaking off to vendor stalls at night, tossing on a cloak and whispering, "One banana, no coconut"? We may never know. The grill master, who may or may not be real, offers you something else. A cup. It's warm in your hands, not too hot, like it's been waiting for you. You sip. The liquid is thick, sweet, and gently floral. Rice milk, infused with pandan, and maybe just a ghost of palm sugar. It coats your tongue, soothes your throat, and makes your eyelid a little heavier. This drink? It's called tuk kroong, and it's part refreshment, part lullaby. Pandan leaves, those long, blade-like greens, are tied into knots and steeped until their scent infuses everything. The flavor is hard to describe. Green but sweet, earthy but clean, like if vanilla had a forest cousin. In Khmer kitchens, pandan wasn't just for tea. It was woven into desserts, used as natural coloring, and in some households, even tucked into bedding to keep away insects and bad dreams. A multitasker, that pandan. Much like you, who are multitasking, being horizontal and deeply snacky at the same time. You lean back on your elbows, cup in hand. Nearby, someone is rustling in a bamboo basket, pulling out flat, crispy rounds. Rice crackers. But not the sad, flavorless kind you buy during New Year's resolutions. These are angkak, sun-dried, then puffed over flame until they balloon like golden clouds. Light, airy, barely sweet, unless someone's gotten fancy and brushed them with palm sugar syrup. You crunch one, loudly, but no one minds. In fact, the guy next to you crunches back in solidarity. You share a nod. 2 tired souls crunching into the void of night, united by toasted carbs. Fun fringe fact? Some of these rice crackers were made using the leftover scrapings from sticky rice pots. Pressed flat, dried in the sun, then toasted. A whole secondary snack life from what would otherwise be kitchen waste. Nothing got tossed without a second thought in the Khmer Empire. Sustainability wasn't a trend. It was just how life worked. The fire spits a little as a breeze rolls in. You pull your blanket up around your shoulders. The scent of toasted rice still clings to your fingers. Your brain is cotton soft now, like it's been steamed. The world shrinks to the warm circle of snacks, friends, and flickering flames. And still, the food parade marches on. Now it's nam pruk, glutinous rice dumplings filled with molten palm sugar. Bite too soon and you'll burn your tongue. Bite too late, and they'll cool into chewy caramel boulders. You wait, patiently, then bite. The palm sugar floods your mouth, earthy and sweet, almost smoky. It's like getting hugged from the inside. There's something hilariously charming about how sticky this treat is. Your fingers are now lightly sugared. So is your sleeve. The person next to you is laughing, offering a banana leaf napkin like they've done this 1,000 times. Maybe they have. No one rushes here. No one worries about cleaning up. You sit sticky-fingered and full-hearted. The food coating your belly like a velvet robe. The night presses closer, and the last dumpling vanishes like a dream you forgot the second you woke up. This is what sleep should taste like. The fire's glow softens into an amber hush, as if it too is winding down. You stretch, not a big stretch, just a half-hearted reach that says, yes, I'm a sleepy noodle now. Somewhere nearby, a few bowls cling together and someone's giggling. It's not loud, just contagious. You turn your head toward the sound, and oh, what do we have here? A little wooden table, not more than ankle high, is being set with round woven trays. And on those trays, something shiny, sticky, surprisingly geometric. These are namjek, sometimes called jackfruit cakes, though honestly cake doesn't quite cover the situation. Made with mung bean paste, shaped into little coin-like rounds, and then wrapped tightly and neatly in thin slices of ripe jackfruit. They're bright, like offensively cheerful. You lift one. It jiggles slightly, like it's not entirely sure it wants to be eaten. But you commit. The taste is tropical sunshine. Sweet, yes, but also a little musky, a little floral, a little weird in the best possible way. Jackfruit has that magical ability to taste like every fruit and no fruit at once. Paired with the creamy mung bean filling, it's oddly sophisticated. Dessert that went to art school. There's a whisper of ginger in there. Or maybe it's cardamom. Historians still argue whether Khmer dessert spices came primarily from Indian trade routes or were independently developed. Either way, your tongue approves. Warm, tingly, unexpected. You chew slowly, watching two children next to you attempt to balance theirs on their noses. One succeeds. Barely. Applause ripples around the fire like lazy raindrops. You smile, not because it was impressive, but because, in this moment, every crumb of joy feels earned. Now someone's slicing something with a curved iron blade. The sound is rhythmic, peaceful. Thunk, slide, thunk, slide. The result? Long slivers of green mango, neatly fanned out on a palm tray. Next to it, a bowl of salt, sugar, and crushed red chili. You are naturally intrigued. Mango in Khmer cuisine doesn't always mean ripe and golden. Unripe mangoes, tart and sharply crisp, were often used in salads or eaten straight, dunked in a mixture of salty, spicy sweetness that feels like a full-body wake-up call. Even now, your sleepy mouth tingles with curiosity. You take a slice, dip it carefully, bite, boom, tart, sweet, salty, spicy, and somehow still soothing, like a flavor version of a gentle slap on the cheek from someone who loves you. The chili creeps up, but it never shouts. It murmurs, settles, and lingers just long enough to keep your pulse from flatlining. Fun fringe tidbit? There's a Khmer saying, a sour mouth keeps the heart awake. It's probably a metaphor, but in this moment, it's also deeply literal. Your eyes open a little wider. You reach for another slice. Someone hands you the bowl of chili mix. You're now the mango captain. This is the power you've earned. You look up, and someone is crushing something with the flat side of a cleaver. Ginger. Lots of it. Next to it, a sticky pile of jaggery, palm sugar in its most dramatic form. A dark, glossy lump that smells like caramel and molasses got caught in a monsoon love affair. Together, the two are mixed into a warm rice porridge called Borber score. And no, that's not a typo. You watch it bubble gently in a clay pot. The texture is just a side of goopy, studded with tiny grains of black and red rice. It's not dessert, exactly. More like sleepy breakfast for nighttime people. The kind of thing someone makes when they don't want to ask how your day went. They just want to feed you into forgiveness. You take a bowl. The ginger hits first, then the sweet, then the cozy. It's the comfort food equivalent of being wrapped in 10 blankets and told you're not responsible for anything ever again. It even sounds sleepy when you stir it, just a soft squelch, like rice whispering secrets to sugar. Historians still argue whether porridge variations like this were consumed as ritual offerings or just popular among the temple workers who needed energy without drama. Either way, this one demands no effort from your soul. It just is. A firefly floats past your nose. Bold move. You watch it, but make no attempt to swat. Here, bugs are just part of the dream. Besides, it's not like you're in any condition to chase anything that doesn't come with a spoon. Which reminds you, there's one last thing. A woman in a blue sash is slicing something that looks suspiciously like jelly. It wobbles. It glistens. It smells like coconut and something faintly herbal. Wound, they call it Khmer coconut jelly. It's made with agar-agar, an ingredient derived from seaweed. And unlike gelatin, it holds its shape with a smug little bounce. But wait, this isn't one jelly. It's 3 layers. White, green, and pink, a pastel flag of sleepiness. The green is pandan. The pink, possibly rosewater, or maybe food coloring. Historians still argue whether early Khmer sweets were dyed with natural hibiscus and beetroot, or whether imported colors became trendy during later dynasties. You don't really care. You just bite, and oof, it's so light, so clean. The kind of dessert that tastes like a nap in a hammock under a coconut tree. Refreshing but final, like the edible version of, all right, we're done here. You sigh, deeply. The night around you exhales with you. Fire down to coals. Mangoes down to peels. Porridge bowls scraped clean. Everyone's eyelids at half-mast. A few people have fully tipped over like fallen rice stalks. No shame. That's the vibe. And you? You're somewhere between sugar coma and transcendence. Someone gently kicks a log, and the fire flares again, just for a moment. Enough to light up the sleeping form scattered around the clearing like the aftermath of a very cozy food festival. You roll over onto your side, the grass cool against your cheek. Somewhere nearby, someone's whispering a story. Or maybe they're just talking in their sleep. Either way, you're invested. Your fingers find something smooth. A small bundle wrapped in banana leaf, still slightly warm. Curiosity trumps gravity, and you unwrap it like a present. Inside is sticky rice, black and purple, glistening with coconut cream. Tucked into the center, a slice of ripe banana. You've just met Kralen's dreamy little cousin. Number Ansem check. It's technically a dessert, sure, but it's got heft, substance. The kind of thing a traveler might slip into a satchel before a long walk. You take a bite. The rice is chewy, dense, comforting, like a memory you didn't know you had. The banana has gone molten. The coconut cream is faintly salty, the way Khmer sweets so often are, just enough to wake your tongue without shouting over the softness. Fringe fact? These sticky rice logs were often steamed during festivals, wrapped tight in banana leaves, and then roasted upright in open fires. Sometimes they'd be offered at temples. Other times, they were breakfast. No fuss. Just steam, unwrap, chew, repeat. Historians still argue whether this particular sweet developed for ritual purposes or out of a practical need to use up overripe bananas. Either way, it's proof of how the Khmer people turned simplicity into magic. They didn't need imported chocolate or fine sugars. Just rice, fruit, thyme, and a little steam. You blink slowly. A child walks past, carrying a woven tray of palm sugar candies shaped like tiny animals. You think you spot a buffalo. Or maybe it's a rabbit. Hard to say at this point in your brain's timeline. The candies are hard and glossy, with a finish that catches the firelight. They were made by boiling palm sap until it thickened, then poured into tiny carved molds. You place one on your tongue and let it dissolve slowly. It tastes like burnt sugar and sunlight. It crunches faintly as it gives in. One sweet detail: some of these candies were hidden in children's pillows during New Year's celebrations. Small rewards for good dreams, or bribes to sleep through temple ceremonies. Possibly both. As the sugar melts, you notice a pot of something thick and golden being stirred with a wooden paddle. It smells sweet, but also fermented, a little funky. It's Sankyel pumpkin custard. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. An entire hollowed-out pumpkin filled with coconut custard, and then steamed until both parts collapse softly into each other. You watch them slice it. The cross-section is absurdly beautiful. Bright orange shell. Pale, jiggly center. Your hand in a sliver. It's warm. The custard is sweet and eggy, with just enough coconut to feel exotic, without being overwhelming. The pumpkin is soft, slightly earthy, grounding the whole thing like a lullaby in food form. There's something timeless about this one. Like someone's grandmother invented it on a rainy afternoon, and it's never not been perfect. You imagine royalty eating it in silver dishes, and also children eating it with their hands. Everyone wins. Historians still argue whether the pumpkin custard was adapted from Indian sweets or whether it emerged organically in Khmer palace kitchens. But let's be honest. Anyone with a pumpkin and a sweet tooth could have come up with this brilliance. Bless them. The wind shifts again, carrying with it the scent of something fried. Yes, fried. The universal signal that bedtime is being postponed. It's little wedges of taro, battered lightly and crisped until golden. They're called chek chien when it's banana, but this version, with taro or sweet potato, often slipped under the radar. Quiet but dependable. You pick one up. It's hot, dangerous, but you bite anyway. The outside shatters slightly. The inside is creamy, earthy. It tastes like autumn, even though you're surrounded by tropical heat and fireflies. Someone offers you a dip. Coconut cream mixed with palm sugar and toasted sesame. It's absurd. You dip anyway. You regret nothing. Fun tidbit: fried snacks like this were usually made in big batches and sold at market stalls alongside gossip and bets on who'd marry whom before the next moon. They were food and entertainment, and sometimes currency. As you finish the last bite, your entire jaw relaxes. You're so full. Your dreams are starting to back up like a traffic jam. You lie down again, head pillowed on something soft. Maybe a folded sash. Maybe your own arm. Time is irrelevant. Above you, the stars are beginning to form sentences. Lazy constellations spelling out snack-related prophecies. You'll wake up later wondering whether Tapioca Dragon is a real star or just a result of too much custard. But you're not done yet. From somewhere, a bowl of Nam Sang Kaya makes its way into your hands. This one's for dessert diehards. Imagine little cubes of agar jelly, tender slices of young coconut, and chewy bits of tapioca pearls all floating in a bath of cold, sweet coconut milk. Yes, cold. A final note of chill after all the fire and steam. You sip the milk, chase the jelly with your tongue like a sleepy kitten, and sigh again. Everything is slippery and soft and too soothing for words. Historians still argue whether Khmer chilled desserts were late inventions inspired by Chinese cuisine or simply born out of practicality. Because if you live in a place that feels like soup, sometimes you just want your dessert to feel like a breeze. You couldn't agree more. The sounds around you have dimmed. No more slicing. No more bubbling pots. Just gentle chewing, the occasional clink of spoon to bowl, and the soft rustle of banana leaves being folded away. You close your eyes for a second. Just a second. Something shifts in the darkness. Not a loud shift. More like the polite rustling of someone adjusting their sarong in the moonlight. You blink, then blink again. You're still here. Still nestled in the balmy twilight of the Khmer Empire. But the fire's a little lower now, and the crowd has thinned. You're not alone, but there's more space. More silence. which is why the tiny clink of clay jars gets your attention. A small figure, probably a child, but it's hard to tell, is lining up earthenware pots along a stone ledge. Inside them, something creamy, pale, thick, a custard, a pudding. You sit up, stomach stretching like a sleepy cat. Somehow still curious. You dip a finger in. The texture is soft, grainy in a soothing way, like blended rice or coconut mash. It's babe or bae domneng, a type of sweet rice porridge often eaten just before bed or just after waking, depending on your outlook. It's not fancy. It's not flashy. But it's calming in a way that suggests someone's grandma probably makes it better than anyone else alive. There's a dash of grated ginger, maybe, or shredded pandan leaf, or sesame. Every family has their version. Every version is slightly better than the last one you tried. You take another spoonful, a final bite. The night hums gently around you like a lullaby with no chorus. Quirky fact? There's an old superstition that if you eat rice porridge too late, your dreams will drift away before you can catch them in the morning. So some people eat it specifically to forget things. A built-in mental eraser. Historians still argue whether this belief originated in temple tradition or village folklore. Either way, you're not sure whether you're dreaming already or just in the prelude. Somewhere past a clearing, a quiet splash echoes. A river. You'd almost forgotten about the river. And now, softly, lazily, it pulls you in. Not literally. Thank goodness. You're not about to be swept away to sea. But the idea of water, of boats, suddenly takes over the scene. You're sitting in a canoe. No paddling required. The boat just moves. On its own, through a floating marketlet by torches and fireflies. Vendors and other boats float past, calling out offerings so softly you don't need to answer. One tosses you a bundle. You catch it without opening your eyes. It smells like coconut again. And something else. Citrus? You peek inside. Kui tiv chh nang dai, literally, noodle soup of the hand. But don't panic. This is not soup for insomniacs. This is a bedtime market twist. Thin rice noodles stir-fried with a sweet, tangy tamarind glaze, sprinkled with crushed peanuts, fried shallots, and mysterious dried citrus zest. You slurp one bite. You regret how good it is. A food that is somehow savory and dessert-adjacent? How dare. Fun fact? Noodle dishes weren't just quick meals for hungry workers. They often became the stars of nighttime banquets, especially during festivals, and vendors would add little sweet elements, candied lime peel, honeyed onions, just to keep things playful. Historians still argue whether this hybrid style of Khmer stir-fry came from India, China, or a stubborn grandmother who didn't feel like choosing between dinner and dessert. Your boat glides under a low-hanging tree. The leaves whisper secrets to each other as you pass. A child in the next boat overholds out a skewer toward you, not threateningly, just invitingly. On the skewer are cubes of grilled something. At first you think tofu, then maybe fruit? But no, it's cow larm, sticky rice and black beans packed into hollow bamboo stalks, roasted until inside caramelizes slightly. Someone's cut the bamboo into pieces and skewered the contents. You bite. The texture is chewy, hearty. The rice is soaked up just a hint of smoke. The beans are tiny surprise guests, earthy and sweet. A dash of sesame salt lingers on your lips. You close your eyes again, as if the flavor is too good to look at. Quirky detail? In some regions, elders claim that if you roast sticky rice inside bamboo on the wrong day of the lunar calendar, the bamboo might remember it and curse your next harvest. So yes, even cooking rice can involve a little magical paranoia. Historians still argue whether these warnings were serious agricultural omens or just ways to keep kids from playing with fire. Probably both. The overlap between mysticism and good parenting is broader than we admit. By now your boat has stopped, parked in front of a rickety dock made of driftwood and optimism. You step off, still holding your bamboo skewer, like a torch. There's a small hut, no door. Inside, a single table holds a plate covered with what looks like pancakes. Khmer rice cakes, nam kruk, tiny round, made in special clay molds over charcoal heat. Crispy on the outside, melty on the inside, with a mix of rice flour, coconut milk, and green onion or chopped scallion. A whisper of salt, a smile of sweet. You eat one, then two. They're absurdly warm. Not hot, just the kind of warm that hugs your teeth and makes your ears go fuzzy. You sit down cross-legged on the floor and realize you've stopped moving. Physically, mentally, all of it. The world has gone from 3 speeds to 1. Just soft. Outside, a breeze picks up and rustles the palm leaves overhead. You can still hear the faint sounds of night traders, soft voices carrying over the water, a paddle slapping rhythmically. But it's far away. You're drifting again. Maybe someone's brushing your hair. Maybe it's just the wind. Either way, your head tilts back without asking your permission. Your belly is full. Your mind is slow. The fire's gone out. The river has moved on. You rest your head on your knees and breathe. Somewhere, a drumbeat taps gently, more suggestion than sound. You're not sure where it's coming from. It could be a neighbor pounding dough. It could be the rhythm of your own heartbeat softened by rice, spice, and sleep. Either way, you don't open your eyes. You just follow it. You find yourself on the edge of a rice field at twilight. The stalks rise around you like green gold brushstrokes. Fireflies blink in and out, not in patterns, just in gentle chaos. You're holding something in your hands, warm and soft, wrapped in banana leaf. Whatever it is smells complicated, sweet but musky, toasted but floral. You peel the leaf open slowly and see a sticky mound, brown gold with glossy edges. You're holding number Ansem Check, a traditional dessert made from glutinous rice, coconut milk, and ripe banana. Sometimes it's steamed, sometimes grilled. Tonight it's grilled. The edges caramelized just enough to make your fingers slightly tacky. You bite in. The banana is silky and warm, softened by the heat and swaddled in sweet rice. It tastes like the countryside, like open fields and stories told slowly. The banana leaf smells like summer's breath. Quirky fact? In certain ceremonies, these banana-rice bundles were stacked into little pyramids and used as edible offerings to ancestors. Not that you dare eat one off a shrine. Or maybe you would. You're not here to follow the rules. Historians still argue whether the tradition of bundling food in leaves like this came from early religious rituals or simply as an ingenious-to-go snack container before plastic ruined everything. You lick your fingers lazily, letting your mind trail off, when a voice nearby says something too soft to understand. You glance over. A group of villagers sits in a circle on woven mats, passing around a clay pot with small bowls. You scoot closer. They hand you one. It's warm and smells of something you can't quite place, like toasted corn and distant honey. You sip. It's tuk kolap, a lightly fermented rice drink, more broth than alcohol, used often in ceremonies and during evening meals. Slightly sour, a little funky, comforting in a misbehaved way. One person laughs softly after their sip, as though remembering a joke only the rice understands. You laugh, too, because the mood is infectious and the drink seems to slide down without permission. Here's a strange tidbit. Some communities once believed this drink could help summon dreams of your ancestors if you drank it under a waxing moon. Other versions claim it just helps you sleep faster. You're testing both theories right now. Historians still argue whether this brew has roots in old medicinal texts or village gossip that got way out of hand. Either way, it's doing its job. Your eyelids are low. Your shoulders no longer exist. A boy pokes the fire nearby, and something sizzles. A metal pan balanced on bricks holds flat, crisp discs bubbling with brown sugar. Number play AI, often called ghost cakes, though no one agrees why. They're made from tapioca flour, palm sugar, and shredded coconut, and they crisp up on the outside while staying slightly chewy inside. You pick one up. It practically bends in your hand before snapping slightly when folded. Sweet, oily, decadent. Like the Khmer answer to a late-night cookie craving. You chew, slowly. The sugar clings to your teeth like a gentle parasite with no ill intent. Quirky rumor? Some believe these cakes could be used to tell fortunes. If the edges curled in a certain direction while cooking, it meant you'd have good luck. Or that your crush would say hi. Or maybe both. Very scientific stuff. Historians still argue Whether these cakes trace back to pre-Angkor periods or were introduced later through trade routes with Thailand and Malaysia, the flavor refuses to provide clues. It simply tastes like contentment. A man with a lantern gestures for you to follow him. You do, your step sinking gently into the grass. He leads you to a bamboo platform raised just off the ground and motions for you to sit. Around the platform, small baskets are set out, each one containing a different midnight snack. It's like a buffet for dreams. One holds slices of mango soaked in sweet fish sauce. Another has crispy rice crackers flecked with black sesame. A third is just cubes of chilled coconut jelly, trembling slightly in the moonlight. You try one, then another, then stop counting. There's no urgency, no need to make choices. Each bite is a lullaby in disguise. You sip water from a clay cup. The rim is cool. The water has a faint floral note. Pandan, maybe, or just rainwater with good manners. The breeze picks up again, this time scented with something smoky and spicy. Grilled lemongrass chicken skewers. You blink at them, considering, but your belly whispers, not tonight. You're full. You're safe. You're done. The man with the lantern bows slightly. You return the gesture. He smiles, then fades into the reeds. You lie back on the platform, arms folded behind your head. The thatched roof above you a soft silhouette against the stars. Somewhere nearby, someone is still stirring soup. You can smell it faintly, ginger and galangal, lemongrass and lime. But it's not for you. Not tonight. Not anymore. The food has stilled you, settled you, anchored you like a rock in a lazy river. You feel the weight of each bite as gratitude more than fullness. A reminder that sleep like food is best when slow and shared. Above, a firefly blinks 3 times, then disappears. You wake, or maybe just shift, in a space where the night has softened into something almost liquid. The air carries a faint trace of jasmine and warm earth, and you realize you're no longer quite outside, but somewhere between indoors and outdoors, like a porch built with open walls and woven mats. On a low wooden table before you sits an assortment of snacks that look deceptively simple. There are crispy rice cakes, a few skewers of grilled meat glazed in a sticky tamarind sauce, and a bowl of something that smells bright and a little sharp, like a lemon crossed with ginger. You reach for the bowl. Inside is samlak, a Khmer sour soup made from tamarind, lime, and fresh herbs like kaffir lime leaves and coriander. The broth is thin, translucent, and bursting with complexity. You take a careful sip, and the flavors unfold like a secret garden. Tart and sweet, herbal and fresh. It's strange how a bowl of soup can feel like a tiny, warm handshake from centuries past. A silent conversation between you and whoever sat here before. The sourness wakes your palate, cutting through the sweetness you tasted before, resetting your senses as if the night is on a slow loop. Historians still argue whether samlak originated in Khmer royal kitchens, or if it was a peasant's invention, designed to make the abundant swamp herbs and fish from the tunnel sap lake taste a little less, well, swampy. Either way, it's a dish of paradoxes, simple ingredients, complex flavors, and layers of history folded inside every spoonful. Your fingers trail along the table to a pile of skewers. You pick one up, a thin piece of grilled chicken, charred at the edges but tender inside. This is lak lak, often called a Khmer stir-fry, though it's grilled here on sticks, not tossed in a wok. The meat is marinated in garlic, pepper, and a hint of palm sugar, creating a salty, sweet dance on your tongue. Quirky tidbit? Some say that lak lak was popularized by French colonists who brought their own tastes and techniques, blending with Khmer tradition to produce something new. Others insist it's a native dish that just happens to align with French culinary flair. Historians still argue whether colonial influence or local innovation played the bigger role in shaping Khmer cuisine. You nibble on the skewers, chewing slowly as a gentle night wraps around you like a well-worn blanket. Nearby, the soft murmur of a river, or maybe the distant rustle of leaves, keeps time with your breathing. Your gaze drops to a small mound of sticky rice, packed neatly into a banana leaf cone. You unwrap it and find by damnib, sticky rice steamed with coconut milk and often served as a sweet accompaniment or a snack on its own. Sticky rice is a staple here, as has been for centuries. One of those foods that connects every meal, every moment, every breath in the Khmer world. It's a glue of tradition and family and history. Here's a fun little note. Some families cook their sticky rice in special pots over open fires, insisting that the kind would use affects the flavor. Mango wood is considered the best, supposedly lending a subtle sweetness. You're not sure if you can taste the difference, but it's a nice story to tell at dinner parties or bedtime, as it happens. Historians still argue whether sticky rice's prominence was due to climate trade or cultural preference. Either way, it's the backbone of many Khmer meals and the perfect partner to all the snacks you've tasted tonight. The air stirs and you smell incense, sweet resinous, drifting lazily through the shadows. It's a reminder that this isn't just a meal. It's a ritual, a shared moment between past and present. You lean back against a wooden wall, letting the sounds and scents wash over you. Somewhere, a child laughs quietly. A dog barks far off. It's called soft and unhurried. You close your eyes. The taste of tamarind lingers on your tongue, and you feel a deep, settling calm, like a long exhale after a day full of movement and noise. Tonight, you are a guest in a story older than you are, a story told in food and firelight and quiet company, a story that invites you not just to listen but to taste, to feel, and to rest. And so, you rest. The night deepens, but you're not done traveling yet. Now, you find yourself in a different setting, inside a simple wooden house with walls made of woven bamboo, the kind that lets in just enough cool night air to keep things comfortable without the threat of mosquitoes swarming you like a tiny, buzzing jury. On a low table, there's a new kind of feast. This time, it's a collection of snacks that look like puzzles, crispy, puffed discs shaped like tiny flowers, and little bundles wrapped tightly in green leaves, almost like gifts waiting to be unwrapped. You reach for one of the crispy discs first. They're called number crock, and they're made from rice flour and coconut milk, cooked in a special pan that creates perfect little cups with crispy edges and soft, creamy centers. When you bite into one, you get a lovely contrast, crunch and creaminess mingling in a way that's more sophisticated than your average chip. The coconut flavor is delicate but persistent, like a whisper you want to lean in closer to hear. These snacks were often sold by street vendors and enjoyed as a quick treat, but they carry a long history, dating back centuries. Quirky side note. Some say that during festivals, vendors would compete to make the most perfectly shaped number crock, and winners got special blessings for their stalls. That may or may not be true, but it's a nice image, like a baking competition with more palm leaves and fewer cameras. Historians still argue whether number crock was primarily a village invention or if it came down from palace kitchens, adapted over time to suit common tastes. Next, your hands move to the little leaf bundles. Inside are Kroang spice sticky rice balls, wrapped carefully in banana or pandan leaves. The fragrant herbs used in the Kroang, lemongrass, galangal, kaffir lime peel, give the rice a mysterious, slightly spicy aroma that fills the air when you unwrap one. You nibble slowly. The sticky rice is subtly sweet, with just a hint of the herbs that make you think of jungle mornings and damp earth. It's almost like tasting the forest itself. Here's a quirky twist. Some old stories say that the herbs in Kroang were believed to ward off evil spirits and bad dreams. Maybe that's why this snack was so popular before bedtime, or why it made for a perfect offering during ceremonies. Historians still argue whether Kroang's complex herb blends evolved from ancient medicine, or were simply an early form of flavor experimentation. You set the bundles down and pick up a bowl of prahak, fermented fish paste, the infamous Khmer condiment. The smell hits you first. Strong, pungent, unmistakable. Some people say it's an acquired taste. Others say it's a rite of passage. In tiny amounts, prahak adds a salty, umami kick to dishes, much like soy sauce or anchovy paste in other cultures. But tonight, it's a sidekick to the snacks, something to dip your sticky rice into, sparingly. You hesitate for a moment, then dip a bit and taste. The flavor is bold and briny, a powerful reminder of how the Khmer relied on the lake's bounty for their food and culture. Quirky fact, during times of famine or war, prahak was often traded as currency, prized almost as much as gold by villagers who depended on it for seasoning. Historians still argue how far back praha fermentation techniques go, with some suggesting it's a practice that predates even the rise of the Khmer Empire. You lean back again, the crunch of number crocks still lingering, the scent of herbs wrapping around you like a cozy blanket. Somewhere outside, a breeze stirs the banana leaves, whispering ancient secrets in a language you almost understand. You close your eyes. The night is a patchwork quilt of tastes, smells, and stories, a comforting, endless bedtime snack. The moon drifts higher, and now you're wandering through a bustling marketplace right in the heart of Angkor Thom, the grand city at the height of the Khmer Empire. Lanterns cast golden pools of light on vendors shouting their wares, the air thick with spices and the smoke of open fires. It's warm and humid, and the sounds, chatter, laughter, the clatter of wooden carts, blend into a gentle nighttime lullaby. Among the stalls, your eyes catch a peculiar sight. Baskets overflowing with namban chak, a dish that might sound like a tongue twister, but tastes like the essence of the empire itself. It's a type of rice noodle served cold, topped with bright green fish gravy that looks almost too vibrant to be real. The fish is ground into a paste with turmeric and lemongrass, giving a yellow-green glow that makes the whole dish feel like a jewel. You take a bite. The noodles are slippery, soft, and cool against the humid heat, while the fish sauce bursts with herbal brightness. It's refreshing yet hearty, the kind of meal that makes you wonder why you ever thought noodles had to be hot to be comforting. Here's a quirky tidbit. Namban chak is often called a Khmer national dish today, but back then it was more of a street snack. Vendors would shout, "Namban chak," fresh and cheap, as they balanced steaming baskets on their heads, moving like graceful acrobats through the crowd. Historians still argue whether the dish originated from royal kitchens or common folk ingenuity, but either way, it's a testament to the Khmer's love of combining fresh herbs with fish, two staples in their diet. Nearby, a vendor offers you a skewer of crow-marinated grilled fish, charred just right, so the skin crackles and the smell makes your mouth water. The marinade, full of the same herbs you tasted in the sticky rice bundles, infuses the fish with an intoxicating aroma, smoky and herbal all at once. You bite into the fish, juices dripping, and for a moment, you're tasting the river itself, wet, wild, and alive. The Khmer were masters of making the most out of their watery world, turning humble fish into delicacies with just a handful of herbs. Quirky side note, some festivals involve fish races, where fishermen would release fish into canals and place bets on which would swim fastest. It's hard not to imagine this as a quirky ancient sport, complete with cheering crowds and maybe a few spilled namban chak bowls. Historians still debate how much of the Khmer diet was influenced by neighboring cultures, like the Cham and the Vietnamese, and how much was uniquely Khmer innovation. As you walk on, the scent of grilled meats blends with the sweeter notes of coconut desserts. You spot number ansam, a pyramid-shaped sticky rice cake wrapped in banana leaves and steamed until soft and fragrant. Inside, there might be banana, mung bean, or even pork, surprising combinations that make you realize how playful Khmer cooks could be. You take a slow bite, the sticky rice clinging to your teeth and the banana filling melting in your mouth like a soft caramel. It's sweet but not cloying, with a faint grassy note from banana leaves wrapping it like a gift. Quirky rumor has it that number ansam was so beloved, some temples would offer it as a sacred food to the gods, and priests would compete to make the most perfect pyramid-shaped cakes, almost like an ancient baking show. Historians still argue about the exact origins of number ansam, whether it was originally a royal delicacy or a humble farmer's treat passed down generations. The night hums on, the market fading into a gentle murmur as you feel sleep tugging at your eyelids. But before you drift off completely, you savor one last bite of the sticky rice cake, a quiet reminder that even the most ordinary snacks can carry the weight of centuries.